Mark Feinsand from the New York Daily News is with us and talking all things Yankees and all things Alex Rodriguez now at the moment. And so,
is there anything
Alex,
on the Yankees besides Alex Rodriguez right now, or no?
We'll get to that. We'll spend about a half hour with you to work through all the topics. But we were just talking quickly in the break, and I asked you, what do you think? Do you think he's going to be able to play? How do you think he'll look? And you had some information that from what your sources have been telling you.
You know, it's hard to know until you see it with your own eyes and you see him against big league pitching. But he's been taking the steps in his rehab, or in his training rather, to simulate it as best as he can. He's brought in minor league pitchers, independent league pitchers, college ball pitchers. So he's not just facing batting practice. He's actually hitting against, it's not major league pitching by any means, but at least game speed, 90 miles an hour. And people I've talked to who have seen him work out said the bat speed's there, the power's there. So physically, it seems like he's able to do it. Now the question becomes, can he do it against better pitching? And mentally, how is he going to handle everything that he's got to handle in the weeks and months ahead?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think he loves it. Everything that's going on. And I don't know, I'm curious, you being around, and what's the angle for the media when they go to camp with the Yankees? What do you think that's going to be?
I think a lot of it, Harold, is going to depend on what we see on the field. Because all of the noise that surrounds Alex, look, he's going to have his press conference. He's going to say whatever he's willing to say. He hasn't talked publicly about the suspension, biogenesis, any of that stuff. Right. I don't know what he's going to be willing to say. It may not be much. My hunch is he'll have a press conference and he'll say, I will field any questions you have, and after today, I'm only talking about baseball. And that's how he should go. That's what he did in 2009, had his big press conference. It's different circumstances, obviously, but then he spent the whole year saying baseball only, and that worked for him. The angle for him in spring training depends on, can he hit? What is his role with this team? Is he the DH? Is he a platoon DH? Is he a bench player? Is he released? Those are pretty much the four options that happen, because I don't think there's any trades coming in the works. If Alex can be productive, the Yankees need him. It's not like they're loaded with a lineup where he's a bit piece. If he can hit, he's going to be in the middle of that lineup.
So what happens here? Alex says, I'm playing third base.
He's not. He can say whatever he wants. At the end of the day, the Yankees signed Chase Headley for 4 years and a lot of money to come be the third baseman. Chase Headley is a better third baseman at this point defensively than Alex Rodriguez. The one guy that Alex has had no run-ins, no issues, no anything with, and who's really been in his corner the whole time has been Joe Girardi. And I think Alex respects Girardi enough that if Girardi says, look, Alex, Chase is our third baseman, he's our best defender, and we signed him, and he's going to be our third baseman, you need to help us as a designated hitter or as a first baseman once a week or whatever it's going to be. I think Alex has enough respect for Joe and the game and his teammates, because, with all the stuff about Hal Steinbrenner, Randy Levine, Brian Cashman, and the meeting and all this, the guys that Alex needs to have on his side are Girardi, the coaching staff, and his teammates. And I don't think if he sits there and says, well, I'm going to be the third baseman no matter what they say, he can't write his own name in the lineup card. That's not going to ingratiate himself to any of those people. So I think he has enough respect for Girardi and his teammates to do what the team asks him to do.
So let me ask you this. You've been around the Yankees a long time, and as a fan and now covering the club, the only time I can see this kind of drama, so to speak, goes back all the way to Billy Martin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been a nice, smooth run. But
winning does that.
Are we into this summer that type of Bronx Zoo type of stuff that might happen?
Well, I think it depends on where the team is. If things fall apart and they're in fourth place and looking 15 games out of first place, all hell could break loose because, there's going to be stories. Guys are going to start talking. Things are going to happen. The reason that through this run of 20 years that there hasn't been the Bronx Zoo atmosphere, they've been winning. And even when they were winning, there were little things along the way. But there was always sort of that core there, the core four, Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, that held it all together and let the distractions not, invade the clubhouse. It's going to be interesting. The last 2 years, you've had the Rivera farewell tour. You've had the Jeter farewell tour. A lot of good vibes, a lot of good feelings around a fairly mediocre and, dare I even say, overachieving team. Last year's team was not even good enough, in my mind, to win 85 games, and yet they did. So, I think with the absence of that prevailing good feeling story, Alex is the story. And if he's not hitting, it's not going to be a feel-good story by any means.
There's been a lot of noise, obviously, with the meetings with Commissioner Rob Manfred. And Alex met with Rob a couple of times, not just the one that was publicized, and now this meeting with the Yankees. Were these meetings necessary? I mean, in your estimation, Mark, did he need to clear the air? It seems like he's taking a more humble approach here as we get ready for the beginning of the new year.
I'm not sure they were necessary in the eyes of MLB or the Yankees. I think they were probably necessary in the eyes of Alex. Just him wanting to come in, clear the air. Look, he sued everybody. He sued the league. He sued the union. He sued the team doctor.
And wasn't quiet about it either.
And wasn't quiet
way.
about it. And certainly the attorney he had at the time was really not quiet about it. So I think for him it was a matter of, look, I'm coming back. I need to be on the same page with these people and clear the air. Whether they felt it was necessary or not is hard to say. Again, bottom line, this all comes down to whether or not he can play. The meetings aren't going to affect that. Nothing's going to affect that. If he can play, the Yankees need him in their lineup. They certainly need them in the ratings. And if he can't play, then the question becomes: do you eat that $60 million and let him walk?
So they do need him a little bit. I mean, so this idea that they're basically could discard him, and he's been this big nuisance to them, which he has obviously caused them grief, but they need him. I mean, from a baseball perspective,
if he can hit,
if
he can play, yeah, they need him. I mean, they don't have a lineup that we saw in the last 10, 15 years where they went out there and led the league in runs, and everybody wanted to put it on the hitting coach all the time, but the players got to play, and they weren't last year. McCann had a bad year. Teixeira was hurt and not producing. Beltran was hurt and not producing. Ellsbury was okay, good year, not a great year. Gardner, really good first half, slumped a little in the second half. This is not a loaded lineup where you're going to look at them and say, well, this team's going to lead the league in runs. They don't need Alex to be the big-time cleanup hitter. To me, it still comes down to Ellsbury, Teixeira, Beltran, McCann. You're paying those guys a ton of money. They need to produce to the level that they're expected, or this team's not going anywhere. But if Alex could hit, it would certainly help.
I think we got 6 weeks to see. He's going to play every day in spring
training.
Road
trips, everything.
Yeah, he's going to be on it all. And after 6 weeks, I think he'll be able to know, and I think the Yankees will know. And honestly, I think if he can't play, he'll walk away.
Oh, no chance.
He'll walk.
61 million reasons why that.
The only reason he won't be able to play will be because of health reasons.
Well, in that case, he goes on the DL, and
he's going
insurance comes into play.
Peace out.
But the chance of him, if he's healthy enough to play and just can't hit, there's no way he walks away. He is not leaving that money on the table.
I wanted to ask you about Tanaka, but they're telling us we're wrapping up. But how's his health? And should he have taken the surgery? I'm curious.
It was interesting. 1 year ago today, the Yankees introduced him, and then he came on and broke onto the scene the way he did. And now, every time he throws a pitch, we're going to be wondering, how is that elbow? All indications are he's fine health-wise right now. But again, with the situation he has, it feels like a ticking time bomb where he may be good to go right now. 4 starts, 5 starts, 4 years. At some point, he's going to need the surgery. We just don't know when that's going to be.
Well, what an exciting spring training. I mean, really.
When have we had a dull spring training in Tampa?
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
You back this weekend when you headed down?
Next week, pitchers and catchers report next Friday.